It's funny how we use English phrases all the time, but we don't really stop and think about what the words actually mean, literally.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if I say hit the road, what I mean,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
leave, not go out and start punching the asphalt.
Exactly. And that's idioms for you, right? These phrases where the meaning is kind of separate from the individual words.
Right.
They often paint a picture or tell a little story, usually based on metaphor. We're understanding one thing, like leaving through the lens of something else, like hitting a road. It makes the language vivid, but sometimes confusing too.
Totally confusing. Especially, I imagine, for people learning English, it must feel like a secret code sometimes.
Yeah.
How could you possibly guess raining cats and dogs means it's raining really hard?
You really couldn't, not just from the words.
So you shared this great Fluent U list of common idioms, and that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah,
Let's unpack some of these.
sounds good.
We'll get into their meanings, maybe touch on where they came from, just try and make them less puzzling for everyone listening.
It's a great plan. And that list is brilliant. It covers so much ground. We've got idioms about feelings, money, body parts, even food and weather, all sorts of things.
Yeah, lots to choose from.
We can definitely dip into a few of those areas. So where do you want to start?
Well, feelings seem pretty central to everything, right? Let's start there. Okay, so hit the hay.
Uh-huh. Go to bed.
Right, go to bed, get some rest. It's interesting how we link needing rest, which is abstract, to something physical, like, well, hitting hay.
It makes it concrete, doesn't it? That physical image maybe collapsing onto hay, which, yeah, people actually used to sleep on, makes tiredness feel more, I don't know, graspable.
Yeah, relatable. Okay, how about bite the bullet?
Ah, that one's about courage, isn't it? Facing something difficult head on.
Yeah, enduring something tough.
And the image itself is quite intense. Apparently, people might have literally bitten a bullet to cope with pain, like during surgery, without anesthetic.
Yeah.
So taking that very physical act and turning it into a metaphor for, like, emotional fortitude, it's quite powerful.
Definitely it's an impression. Okay, cry over spilled milk. That one feels a bit more obvious.
Yeah, don't get upset about things you can't change, right? Things that have already happened.
Exactly, it's unproductive.
And there's a kind of cultural wisdom baked into that, I think. Focus on what you can do now, not on the past mistake. It's about being pragmatic, moving forward.
Good point. Okay, jump on the bandwagon.
Oh, yeah. Doing something just because it's popular or everyone else is doing it.
Following the crowd.
It really says something about, social influence and trends, how easily we can be swayed by what others think or do, sometimes maybe more about fitting in than genuine belief.
Interesting. Okay, one I use a lot.
Yeah.
Feel under the weather.
Meaning you feel unwell, a
Yeah.
bit sick.
Right. It's kind of a gentle way to say it, isn't it?
Right.
Using weather as a metaphor for health.
It is. It suggests something temporary, maybe unpleasant, like a passing storm, rather than saying, I'm ill, which can sound a bit more serious or blunt.
And if you feel really awful, you might throw in the towel.
Give up, quit. Usually because you're just exhausted or overwhelmed.
The image is so clear, like from boxing.
Exactly. It comes straight from boxing. The corner literally throws a towel into the ring to forfeit the match. It means you've reached your limit. You just can't continue.
Okay, shifting tone a bit.
Mm-hmm.
In the same boat.
Sharing a similarly difficult situation with others.
Yeah, it builds a connection, doesn't it?
It really does. It creates a sense of solidarity, like, okay, I'm not alone in this. That shared experience can be quite comforting, actually.
Definitely. Now for a happy one. On cloud 9.
Pure joy. Extreme happiness.
Where's that come from? Is there an actual cloud 9?
Well, the origin's a bit murky. Some say it relates to old cloud classification systems where cloud 9 was like the highest, fluffiest type.
Yeah.
But whatever the exact root, the idea of being so happy you're literally floating way up high, it just perfectly captures that feeling of elation, doesn't it?
It really does.
Okay.
Boon the midnight oil.
Working late into the night.
Something many of us have probably done.
Oh, for sure. Driven by a deadline or maybe just passion for what you're doing. The original image is literally burning oil in a lamp to see while working late before electricity.
Wait, makes sense.
So it speaks to dedication, maybe putting in that extra effort when others are asleep.
And last one for feelings for now. Get over something.
Moving past an upsetting event or feeling. Letting go of it over time.
It's about healing, really.
Exactly. Emotional resilience, time passing. It highlights our ability to adapt and eventually move on from tough stuff.
Okay, that's a good range for feelings. Shall we switch gears? maybe tackle money. That often brings up strong feelings too.
Absolutely. Let's talk money idioms. Where to start? How about pitch in?
Okay, pitch in
Yeah.
means to contribute, right? Usually money for a shared cost.
Yeah, or sometimes effort. The source mentioned a possible link to farm work, like using a pitchfork.
Like everyone grabbing a tool and helping out.
Exactly. So figuratively, it's about that collective effort, everyone doing their part, often financially.
Got it. Okay. Cutting corners.
This one doesn't mean literally taking a shortcut.
No, it's about saving money, but often by sacrificing quality, right? Doing things cheaply.
Precisely. It implies a trade-off. You save money now, but maybe the result isn't as good, or it causes problems later. It kind of questions chickness versus real value.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if
Yeah.
something costs way too much,
It might break the bank.
I always picture a piggy bank smashing.
Huh. Yeah, the image works. It means something is just too expensive, more than you can afford. Potentially ruinously so.
Okay. And if you are paying for something, especially something big,
You might have to foot the bill.
meaning you're the one responsible for paying.
Yep, straightforward. It just clearly says who's covering the cost.
Okay, here's one I find interesting. A cash cow.
Ah, yes. That's a business, or maybe an investment, that just reliably makes money.
Like steady income without much fuss.
Exactly. The metaphor's from farming again. A good dairy cow gives milk consistently, providing steady income. A cash cow business does the same, financially speaking. Often low effort for high, reliable returns once it's established.
Makes sense. Now, what about being out of pocket?
That usually means you've spent your own money on something, often for work, with the idea you'll get paid back later.
So the money has literally left your pocket for a bit.
Yeah, it implies that temporary personal expense.
Okay. And pinch pennies.
Being very, very frugal, saving money carefully, watching every cent.
Sounds stressful, but necessary sometimes.
Definitely. It really emphasizes being thrifty, maybe handling each coin carefully.
Then there's a drop in the bucket.
When an amount is just tiny compared to what's actually needed, insignificant.
The image is great. One drop in a huge bucket. Really clear.
It shows just how inadequate that small amount is for the larger problem or need.
Okay. Opposite end. Rolling in dough.
Having lots and lots of money. Wealthy.
Dough meaning money, obviously.
Yeah.
I picture someone literally covered in cash.
Yeah, the image suggests abundance, maybe piles or bags of money all around, just loads of it.
And the unfortunate flip side, throw money down the drain.
Wasting money completely, spending it on something worthless.
We've all done that, probably. Feels bad.
It really does. It's such a vivid picture of just squandering resources with absolutely no benefit. Ugh.
Okay, how about if someone looks amazing? Really sharp.
You might say they look like $1,000,000.
Even though bucks just means dollars, right?
Right, it's slang. It's obviously an exaggeration, but it means they look incredibly good, really impressive, like they're worth a lot.
Nice compliment. Okay, born with a silver spoon in one's mouth.
That means coming from a rich, privileged family, having advantages right from the start.
Inherited wealth, basically.
Yeah, suggesting a life of ease and opportunity not earned, but given by birth.
Then there are those inspiring stories.
Mhm.
People who go from rags to riches.
Like the Jim Carrey example you mentioned earlier. Started with very little, maybe even poverty, and achieved great wealth and success.
Those stories really capture the imagination, don't they?
They do. They represent hope, upward mobility, the idea that huge success is possible even from humble beginnings.
Okay, if something is incredibly expensive, it might cost.
An arm and a leg.
Another great exaggeration.
Totally. It just hammers home how ridiculously high the price is, implying you'd have to give up something really valuable personally to afford it.
Right. Now, a less positive one, to have sticky fingers.
Means someone tends to steal things.
It's kind of a euphemism, but pretty clear.
Yeah, informal, maybe slightly humorous, but it means they're a thief. Like things just stick to their hands.
Okay, and give someone a run for their money.
That means you competed really hard against them, made them work for their win. It wasn't easy for them.
So a close contest.
Exactly. Challenging them strongly.
Gotcha. Now, these two seem similar. Pony up and ante up.
Both mean pay what you owe
Right.
or contribute your share, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned ante up comes specifically from poker,
That's right. Placing your initial bet, the ante, before the game starts.
which leads nicely to up the ante.
Yeah, raising the stakes, making things riskier or more serious, not just in poker, but in any situation now.
Okay. And break even.
That's when your income and expenses are basically equal. No profit, no
It's
loss.
balancing the books.
Exactly. Financial equilibrium.
Someone who's close-fisted.
That means they're unwilling to spend money. Stingy, cheap.
The image of a fist clenched tight really gets that across.
It does, very effectively. That strong reluctance to let go of money.
Okay, to go Dutch.
When everyone in a group pays for their own share, like for a meal.
Right. And you mentioned earlier, it's worth knowing this one can sometimes be seen as offensive.
Yeah, the source noted that potential sensitivity, particularly for Dutch people, it's always good to be mindful of how idioms might land culturally.
Definitely. Good reminder. Okay, shell out money.
Means paying for something, often implying it's a significant amount, or maybe you're a bit reluctant to pay.
Like you're having to pry the money out.
Kind of, yeah. The shell out suggests a bit of effort or resistance.
Got it. How about the Midas touch? Ah, from the Greek myth. King Midas turned everything he touched to gold. So someone with the Midas touch is incredibly successful in business. Everything they do makes money.
Like they have a magic ability for profit.
Pretty much. Exceptional financial success.
Okay, less magical. Receive a kickback.
That's illegal. Getting money secretly, usually as a bribe or some kind of illicit payment.
Definitely shady.
Absolutely unethical, often tied to corruption or abuse of trust.
And living hand to mouth.
That describes just barely surviving financially, earning only enough for basic needs with nothing left over.
A very precarious state.
Yeah, the image of money going straight from the hand to the mouth highlights the immediacy, the lack of any savings or buffer.
Okay.
To be loaded.
Simple one. Just means to have a lot of money. Wealthy.
Informal, right.
Very informal, yeah. Just a casual way to say someone's rich.
And make ends meet.
Similar to living hand to mouth, maybe slightly less desperate, it means earning just enough to cover your essential expenses.
So managing to pay the bills, but maybe not much more.
Exactly. Covering the basics, food, rent, clothes, achieving that basic financial balance.
Okay, here's a fun one.
Yeah?
As genuine as a $3 bill.
Huh. Since there's no such thing as a $3 bill in the U.S.
It means it's completely fake, counterfeit, untrustworthy.
Right. The absurdity makes the point very clearly and humorously.
And finally, in the red versus in the black.
Ah, classic accounting terms. In the red means losing money, being in debt.
Because losses used to be written in red ink in ledger books.
That's the origin, yes. And in
Adam.
black means profitable, making money, because profits were written in black ink.
So a visual shorthand for financial status.
Exactly. Rooted in those old bookkeeping practices. It's amazing, isn't it, how many of these money idioms use such vivid images and metaphors?
It really is.
Yeah.
It makes complex ideas about money feel more concrete, I guess. And you see how deeply they're just part of everyday talk about finances.
They really are woven into the fabric of the language.
Yeah.
And understanding that they're often not literal, maybe knowing a bit about where they came from, it can make them feel less daunting, you know?
Yeah. And maybe easier to remember and use.
Definitely. They add so much color and nuance that you just don't get from dictionary definitions alone.
So I guess the big takeaway is idioms are awesome. They add flavor to English. But yeah, you do need to learn their special meanings. You can't just guess from the words.
Precisely. They're like little cultural and historical packages wrapped up in language.
So for everyone listening, especially if you shared this list with us, we really hope this helps. And maybe start noticing idioms more when you're listening to people talk or watching movies.
Oh, that's the best way to learn, I think. Seeing them used in context. How do native speakers use them? When? What's the situation?
Right. Observing that is key to really getting them and feeling comfortable using them yourself eventually.
It really unlocks another level of the language.
It does. And it's kind of cool to think about how these phrases, which seem simple sometimes, actually carry bits of history and culture. They offer this little window into how English speakers kind of see the world.
Absolutely. Exploring idioms is like, yeah, a series of little explorations into language, history, and culture. Always more to discover. So what's an idiom you've heard recently that made you stop and think?